So I'm going to make a video to show you how to use Photopea to edit your images. So if you type in Photopea into the internet, and then the online editor will come up. Remember that you have to save anything that you do in here. You're editing online. If you close this window down, it will just be lost because it's online. Okay, so we'll say open, file open. And this goes into the files in your computer, which is this folder here. Some of them are temporary files and they're not stored in your drive. So, and some of them are. So I have just, this morning I downloaded some of your pictures from your slideshow. So those images will be in my recent folder. You can search through Drive to find the images where you've saved them yourself. But if you've recently viewed them, then they will just be in the recent folder. So you just have to wait for those to load up. So I have looked at a few things since this morning. So I'll just go down and I'll get your picture, which is this one. And I'll hold down Control and get the word bring. So, okay, so your image is here and it's on its side. So let's turn it over. So we'll do image, transform, rotate 90 degrees that way. Okay, now we're going to crop it to get rid of the excess bits. So we're going to crop using the crop tool. All the tools are on the left and their tiny controls are at the top. So we're going to crop there. That's okay. You can, if you didn't manage to get it in the right place, you can move the bounding boxes around to get it where you want to. So I might just try and get a bit more of the bottom and then say yes. Oh, I missed a bit off the top. So I'm just going to get rid of that part at the top by selecting all of it apart from the piece at the top, and we'll crop it again. Okay. So we've got your bring, which we got from 1001 Fonts. It's been saved. It's got a transparent background, which means it's a word without a background. So we're going to grab the layer from the side and drop it onto the other one. So it's gone here. It's a much smaller file than the image that you took. So it's very tiny on here. So we'll just move it so we can see it. And we'll do edit, transform, scale. And if we hold down the shift key on the keyboard and drag on a corner, it will keep its proportions. And you can say yes. If you want to shrink it, you can shrink it later. So if you want to stretch it or anything like that, you can do that too by not holding down shift. So if we do edit, transform, scale, and we drag it down or squish it up, we can change the proportions of it. Okay? So we can edit the colors of things and we can move things around. We can add effects to things. So if we just change the color of this, so maybe it's a bit more interesting. So whatever layer you're working on is the layer that it will do something to. So if I'm working on this layer and I start adding effects, it will do it to that layer. If I'm working on this layer, it will do it on this one. So if I do image adjustments, I'm going to make the text a different color and say hue saturation, and I'm going to bring up the lightness of it. To see what you're doing, you need to move this window to see it. So I'm going to increase the saturation and try and get some color into it. Not sure if the color will come. Okay, that's a bit of a color. And then we'll see if we can move that around. No, that's not making a difference. So we'll just say okay, and then we'll do it again. It's very easy to change the color, I'll show you, of something that has color. So if we do image adjustments, hue saturation, if I drag that round on this now, I'll be able to change this really easily because it has color. But when I'm trying to change the bring, because it's black, it doesn't really change the colours that easily. So, it's changed the bring as well. So we'll say okay. Oh, I think this bring must have a mode on it. Okay, so the bring has changed colour, which is quite lucky. So we'll do image, adjustments. It must have some kind of filter on it to adjust to what's underneath it. So we'll do image adjustments, hue saturation. So I'm going to make it a bit darker so it stands out a bit more. And maybe make the colour a bit more intense. And I'll change the colour to something else. Oh. Or can only get it white. Okay, there's another way that you can do it. So we can select it. So if we get a selection tool, these are the 3 selection tools here. Any tool with a little corner of it that's coloured in means it's got another tool behind it. So the move tool hasn't got any other tools. This one has, this one has. So we're just going to right click on that and get the magic wand. So if I click on the lettering, I'm going to take down the tolerance and make it a 2 and just do a select, deselect, because it got bits of the green in between and I don't want it to do that. So I'm also going to deselect that and untick this contiguous. So this will only get pixels that are touching the pixels like itself. Okay, I think that's not going to work. So I'm going to go back. There's some kind of filter on this. I'm going to go back to when it was pink and leave it the pink. And then I'll just show you some effects. Okay, so I'm going to add an effect on this layer. So we can add a drop shadow. And there's preset things that the drop shadow is set to, but you can change it. So yes, it's gone, the shadow has gone to the side. You can move the shadow to belong somewhere else if you want it somewhere else. You can spread it away from the actual word or bring it closer. And you can add any of the other effects on. So you could put an inner glow if you wanted to, which is adding like an outline on the inside of the letter. And we can make it see-through so it's not very bold. And we can say okay to that. So there's filters that you can add on. There's also a type tool in this format, in this editing software. So you can actually type your own words in. So if we go to here, we'll just click the cursor on, and that's the beginning of the word. The word is going to type in whatever font is here. Unfortunately, it doesn't show you a preview. So you just have to experiment with them. Oh, there's the preview, was just coming. Didn't see it. That's new. If it shows you a preview, brilliant. Okay, so I'm going to pick destroy. I quite like that. So destroy is loaded and destroy is going to go on at 24 points. You can change it to 36, whatever you want to change it to. So you'll see the cursor went a bit bigger. We could change it even bigger. So the cursor's gone bigger again. So that's how big the cursor is now. So I'm just going to type. And it's going to type in whatever colour is here. So if I want a more vibrant colour, so let's choose red. So bring back. Okay, so I'm putting the back. And then I can move that text. That text automatically goes on a separate layer. So I can move just the text and nothing else. And then I can, if I start to type again, it will remember those settings. It leaves it on whatever you were last using. Okay, so I need to get the move tool if I want to move it manually. And then I could try putting the men in. So I'll do it here, bring back manly men. So some of the type fonts won't go in capital letters. I had it on caps lock, but it won't do it because it doesn't have that feature. So it will only do some of the letters in particular styles. So you could do, if you wanted to, like just big letters on their own. So you could do like change the font for everything. So let's make this very big. So to change any particular thing, you can just highlight it and make it bigger. So we've got the B on its own. Then I could do an A on its own and then move the A. So this way you can arrange the letters sort of where you want them and how you want them. So they don't have to conform to being on a line or anything like that. So I've made all these on a different layer, and I'm going to show you how you can group them and do things to the group as well. So let's just do a K. You can also rotate letters and things. Let's rotate one of these. Let's rotate the K. So if we do edit, transform, rotate, and then if you drag on the corner of it, you can rotate it. So you can rotate things. You can make things go see-through. Oops. So I can get the move tool, sorry about cough, and move it. So if I wanted to link these 4 layers so that I could say put a shadow around that word or an outline or something, if I hold down Control and click on each of those layers and then click on this link, I can link the layers, which means whatever I do on one of them, it will do to all of them. So I can now add an effect all at once on all of them. So I can add a drop shadow to all of them. And I might make it a bit of a darker shadow. Oh, it's only done it to one. Let's see if it will do it to all when I say okay. Didn't do it. It should have done it. Okay, I might try again. In theory, you should be able to do that, but not sure if it will. Nope, it's just doing it to A. That's a shame. It is supposed to do it. Maybe I need to lock them. Lock the layers. No, if you lock them, then you can't do things to them. Okay, well, that's supposed to work. It didn't work. But you can, I'm just basically showing you what you can do. So maybe, let's see if I can move them all. Yeah, I can move them all. So maybe you can't apply effects to all of them, but you can move them all. And you could change the size of them all. So you could do edit, transform, scale, hold down the shift key, and then you can change the size of them and say yes. So then if we go on the C, we'll add the effect of the drop shadow to them. Whatever you last did on any tool, it saves those settings. So you shouldn't need to mess with the settings for it to be the same as the rest of the word. So we could, I'm wondering now if this will work, change the colour of that word. So if we do image, adjustments, hue saturation, it wants us to turn that into an image. So let's just cancel that. You can undo things here. So it's just turned that C into a picture instead of into a letter layer. So I'm just undoing that. And then I'm gonna, so to change the color of the text, you would need to double click on the T and then choose the color from here. So you click and choose what color you want. So then that word, that letter has gone into a color, a different color. Okay, so you should be able to add lettering in a really interesting way to your work. And then once you've kind of saved things, so let's see, I wonder if you can, yes, merge down. Oh no, I was going to say you could make it all one layer. You should be able to make it all one layer. Let's try and highlight them and see. I'm trying to show you a way of grouping them together so that you can work on them together. merge layers. But now they're a picture, so you can't edit the words. They're no longer text layers. Text layers are T. Picture layers just look like a picture. So when you've finished editing it, you can group it together and then you can change the size and the colour and things like that. But then that means that you can sort of copy that layer. So if you're on the Move tool and you hold down Alt-GR and then click and drag, you can get another copy of that layer. Let me just show you the modes again. So modes are under this menu here. So it's on normal at the moment. And then if you use the down arrow on your keyboard, you can make the words react to the colours that are underneath them. You can do it on a text layer as well. It doesn't have to be an image. And so you just move up and down the choices. And if you like one of them, then you just leave it on that. So let's say you like that and you leave it on that. So you should be able to generate a range of ideas using the add text layers on top. And you can also remember bring things in from 1001 fonts if you don't find a font that you like on there. So you can do File, Save as PSD to save it with all these layers still there, meaning you can go back to it and work on it again, and you can hide layers and disappear layers and throw layers in the bin and get rid of things. So if you do File, Save as PSD, it goes straight into your folder, into your files on your computer. And then you can do File, Export as JPEG when you've finished the whole thing. Turn up the quality and say Save. But then that's totally flat. So all these layers are together. You won't be able to move the word back. You won't be able to move the word bring. It's as if it's been stuck to it. So then that's only if you've finished. And that's the reason why you do that is so that you can open it on any program. You can't open a PSD on some things, but you can open JPEGs on everything. So that's the reason. Don't save it as a JPEG if you still need to work on it. Save it as a PSD, and then it'll go in your drive. And when you open up Photopea again, you should be able to go into it and find the image that you just saved. So if I do File, Open, pretend that I'd closed that one down. And then if I go into Recent, my PSD should be there and also my JPEG should be there. So the PSD is in layers and the JPEG is not. So this is the PSD and that's the JPEG. So I'll show you if I open up the JPEG, you'll see it's just going to be a flat picture. So it looks the same, but it's all on one layer. So if I tried to move anything, nothing's going to move except the whole picture, but none of the words or anything. So I hope that helps and gives you some inspiration to try things up by yourself.